Howdy, folks. Howdy. I'm Black Dragon, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Black Dragon Biker TV. And as always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in from wherever it is in the world that you happen to be. Uh, we do Motorcycle Club protocol videos, biker news, and all kinds of cool stuff like charitable biker giving, etc., etc. If this kind of video uh, appeals to your palate, make sure to give us a like, follow, share, and subscribe. Also, hit us with the city, state, and country that you're from in the comments so that we can see where you guys are from all over the world. I'm Black Dragon, your host. And tonight, we're going to talk about a question I was just asked maybe 2 days ago. And that is Black Dragon, who pays dues in the motorcycle club? And this was sent to me by one of my subscribers, either by email or something. Can't remember. But typically, a question like this really comes down to who doesn't pay dues. That's what it is. It always comes down to who's exempt and why. When someone says, Black Dragon, what are the rules for dues paying in the motorcycle club? Really, a lot of times I find that somebody feels as though they should be exempted or something. And somebody says, well, I'm going to ask Black Dragon because that sounds like BS. And hey, what's up, Angel Sierra? Good to see you. But it's interesting because they'll say, well, I'm going to ask Black Dragon. And I have to always start this off with, these are my opinions from my 34 years or so in the motorcycle club. It'll be 35 years next year, I think, something like that. And don't go running to your motorcycle club. Black Dragon said, blah. This is my experience, my motorcycle club, things I've seen, things I've run into, and it may be different in your area and in your club. So the first thing I got to say is these kinds of things should be listed in your bylaws. And if it's not, it's a good time to make some amendments. Who pays dues? Who doesn't? Why you should pay dues, that sort of thing. When people could be exempted, and that sort of thing. You should get that into your bylaws if you don't have it there, because the bylaws are that document that says what's fair for everybody. So if you have things like that in your bylaws, then it's not such a big problem because it's spelled out. So now I'll go into my experience and what I believe is the proper answer for this. You may get other answers other places, but this is from good old Black Dragon. So typically speaking, in a traditional motorcycle club, there are 3 or 4 things that generally have you considered a full patch brother in good standing. Okay? Good standing means I'm good, baby. Everything is good. I am a citizen of this motorcycle club, and I'm handling my beeswax. So one is many motorcycle clubs have a participation standard. 2 runs a year, 3 mandatory runs a month. If you're a prospect, you got to do blah, blah, blah. There's some sort of standard of participation that you are required to follow. I'm at the park walking. You can meet me here, making a video. Did you need something? Is it an emergency? All right. Sorry about that. 3 things. So one of the things is like there's a participation standard. The next thing is there's probably a communication standard because As Uncle Shaggy, one percenter, used to always say, three things make a great organization: respect, participation, and communication. So one of the things that you might see is a communication standard, as in how many meetings must be attended. So that's how we communicate what the club is doing. And in order to be a member of good standing, you have to participate in the meetings so that we know what we're going to do, where we're going to go, what our plans are, what the new rules are, who's being disciplined. The information of the club is spread through meetings. Now, in my day, well, this is still my day, but back in my heyday, when I was first getting in clubs, you had to you had to meet in person. Now, so many motorcycle clubs, as I've said in other videos, meet by, you know, TikTok or GroupMe or whatever. That's how we meet. GroupMe, WhatsApp, whatever, Zoom, and we get away from the personalization of the club. But if you're in a club that says, okay, well, hell, we're going to meet by internet, and then you still can't make the meeting. Now, in my time, I was around. You guys know I was here before there were cell phones, and I was actually alive before there was three-way calling. So in my time, three-way calling became a thing, and you could trunk call, and we could actually have some meetings where everybody was on the phone. And we found lazy sons of bitches that couldn't do that. Finally, if you're a regular member, there is a standard of dues paying. Now, let me add before that, if you're an officer, there is a standard for doing your job that's required to be in good standing. Then, if you're a regular member or a full patch brother, you're considered in good standing if you do all those things above and pay your dues. Paying dues, man, dues paying is one like the most important thing in motorcycle clubism. Like, it costs money to ride a motorcycle, and it costs money to be in a club, and it costs money to run a clubhouse, and it just, all this shit costs money. Like a guy that wants to come to your church and sit up in the pews, bro, we got to pay for this air conditioning stained glass in here. We got to pay for them gold chalices you're drinking out of. We got to pay for them buses out there going and picking up people. This has got to be paid for. Now, in a church, they get 10%. Motorcycle clubs aren't quite that strict, at least most of them that I know of. And they have a dues amount that they say, okay, everybody pays this. Now, in the big clubs, and not always the big clubs, in the financially successful clubs, they find other ways, like fish fries, or they'll have like a motorcycle repair facility in their club or something like that. They find other ways that they can make money, parties, annuals, these kinds of things, that they can make money. And in my club, in the heyday, when I was a member in San Diego, or the mother chapter, the club made so much money that the members didn't have to pay dues. The members didn't pay dues. They stood duty. And the club made so much money that your first duty day you stood or whatever, paid your dues. And so then the club paid you. The club made so much money, the club paid you. Cool club that you join, a motorcycle club that pays you. And we did many projects that we got paid. For instance, we made the movie Biker Boys, and the club got paid. Got paid a lot of money for that. So there are ways to have your dues handled by the club. But if you don't have those ways, then you're considered a full patch brother in good standing, or a prospect in good standing if you pay your dues. That's part of it. And people who don't pay their dues, or don't pay their dues on time, put a burden on everybody else who's paying their dues. And I mean a real burden. I had a clubhouse one time, and all the brothers, I should say we had a clubhouse, because the motorcycle club is about we. And sometimes I say I when I mean we. We had a club, and there was only about 5 brothers who paid their dues on time. Many of the other brothers would pay late, but when you pay late, I got to come up with 500, 600, $700 a month, and you're going to pay 2 months later. But the phone company, the electric company, the the utilities company, the rent, they don't wait. They don't wait around. They're not like, hey man, we'll wait for your brothers to get their dues money. So if you got late fees and all that kind of shit, you have to pay that while your brother's catching up. And they never catch up. When they come with their dues, they never come with a late fee. I think clubs should charge a late fee for dues. I just thought of that. That's a new video. Clubs should charge late fees for late dues payers, because we pay late fees, or we pay extra money to keep you afloat. And if it runs 7 or 8 months, you got 15 brothers in the club, and only 5 are paying their dues on time. Whew. Man, you get behind, and they never catch up. You know, some of you guys have brothers that haven't paid dues in a year, stuff like that. And you have brothers that'll pay their dues up for them, stuff like that. That's kind. That's wonderful. But they're always in arrears, and that hurts. That hurts the club. That puts a burden that's unfair and undue on your club brothers who are keeping up. So then we get down to, well, who doesn't pay dues? And so I kind of made up this list in my mind. Let's start with the dues payers. The dues payers would be the full patch brothers, and in some clubs, prospects. Yes, sir. In some clubs, prospects pay dues. They get a patch. They're responsible for the bylaws. They pay some dues. Also, in some clubs, the properties might pay dues. Now, that can be tricky, asking properties or women's auxiliaries to pay dues, but they don't get a vote. That can be tricky. If you can pull that one off, more power. And then, I don't see many clubs where hang-arounds would pay dues. I've never seen that before. And then we come to the list of people who probably don't pay dues at all. Retirees probably don't pay dues, depending on your club. But retirees can be tricky, because if you want to wear your colors everywhere you go, and you want to have a say in the club, then you pay dues. And some clubs, if you're a retiree, you only get to wear your colors at certain events approved by the president. You don't get to vote. And you might not even get to go to meetings, because if you want to do all that, then you need to pay dues and come out of retirement. So there is a end around on that called a lifer. Some clubs have lifers. My club does. And a lifer can be somewhere between 10 and 20 years of service in good standing. Ooh, which means that you paid your dues all that time, right? Now, some clubs' lifers are 10 years. My club, it's 20. And lifers are not thought of as people who pay dues in many places. Now, in some places, lifers have votes, and in some places they don't. A lifer might have a vote and not pay dues because he's been doing it for 20 years, or 10, depending on your club. Or a lifer may get an opportunity to sit in stuff and give advice, but not have the benefit or the pleasure or the honor of a vote because they're not paying dues. How you do your lifers is the respect you want to give them. One thing about lifers is, well, they know everything. I mean, I'm a lifer. I can tell you that we know everything. Not I particularly know everything, but all of us lifers combined know everything. We should have a lifer vine where we just lifer shit out to y'all. But y'all don't listen to us. And then if you are a person on suspension, you might not pay dues. You're suspended and your colors got taken, removed, turned in. And so during that period of time, depending on what a jerk your president is and sergeant in arms, you may be suspended from dues for that amount of time that you are on suspension. So that might be something. Brutus, get over here, away from the coyote. Come on. You don't want that. You don't want that. Yeah, he sleeps out here. You sleep in a bed. So the suspended person might not pay dues, and the person who is on leave of absence. Now, it might be why you're on leave of absence. It's because like you're having financial things, you can't get your family together, and your club will say, "Man, take a break. You don't need to be here if you're having financial problems, this kind of thing, that kind of thing. Go home, get your family straight." You'd be surprised how many people you got to tell that to. Oh man, I just want to be here for the brotherhood, and man, I just want to be a good brother. Hey man, your children ain't eating. Quit playing. You're of no benefit to us if you're of no benefit to yourself. And so we need to help you. And one of the things we need to do is remove your responsibilities from the MC and work with you to get your responsibilities at home together. Now that's real brotherhood, in my opinion. Now, so guys on suspension, like, let's just say you're on leave of absence because you're sick. Well, they may require you to pay dues or partial dues or a percentage of dues. Stuff like that is stuff like that is a case by case basis. So, those are the people that don't typically pay dues. Now, founders can get to the point where they're like lifers or something like that. You may say founders don't pay dues. And then the last question he asked me was, so I guess that means the president pays dues. And I was like, yeah. Does the president pay dues? Should he pay dues? Now, this is an interesting one. Technically, he probably should. But is it right or is it fair? And let's talk about that for a minute. You see, in most motorcycle clubs, president is Mr. Shortfall guy. Motorcycle club comes up late on the rent, president pays it. Motorcycle club needs extra funds because the dues ain't covering the rent, president pays it. Brothers have broken down motorcycles and can't get home from trips, guessed it, president pays it. Not enough money to throw the club annual. The Lucky P gets to come up out of his money, his personal money. Club hasn't established a bank account yet. Oh, you guessed it. Club needs a down payment for utilities. The P normally has to pay that kind of stuff. Somebody said I pay dues as the president. I also pay not be an MC, but I'm part of a motorcycle ministry. So the president's supposed to be paying dues. But some of you guys require so much from presidents and take so much from presidents that maybe it would be fair if you said, hey, Prez, I've seen how much you do. Maybe we're asking a little much for you. President always handles the shortfall. President, it's his baby. He works hard to keep it all moving, keep it all going. That's what he does. So if you have an organization where the president doesn't pay dues, I can tell you, when I was national president, all the chapters we had, I had to go to every one of their annuals. And myself and the national vice president, remember when my national vice president, before he became national president, he came to me one day and he said, I believe presidents should pay twice the dues. I said, oh, you do, Big Meech? Because yes, I do. I said, okay. All right, well, why don't you start paying twice the dues? Because, you know, we're able to do it. We're doing this, we're doing that. That year, together, we each spent about $30,000 that year in travel alone. Getting the motorcycles ready, going to these events, hotel rooms, dinners, getting brothers off the side of the road, all this stuff. And after that first year, he came back to me and he said, holy moly, I can't believe I ever suggested that. Yeah, it was real. So, yeah, everybody should be paying dues. But you got to look at what your president gives up and try to be as fair to him as you possibly can. Turn on that dog's lights for me, please. You try to look at him and be as fair as you can. Somebody asked, hypothetically speaking, what if your prez is distant? What if the club sees that they are picking up the slack? Again, just hypothetical. We need to evaluate this side as well. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Listen, a club is a powerhouse of we. And we talked about dictators a couple days ago. And if you have dictators, that means that the powerhouse of we is broken. For some reason, you've allowed somebody to take over the club and not do what's expected of them and not participate at the level that they should. And the only person you have to blame is you and the brothers. So if you have a president that's not doing right, you got to call his ass to the side. Hey, bro, we need more from you. This is our personnel improvement program. Those of you who have worked jobs have heard of that. We have an improvement program, a PIP, and we want you to follow these steps of improvement or we're going to have to vote you out. You're not keeping up. You're not doing what is expected of you. And it could help if some of you guys would write job responsibilities. How many of you got that? How many are in clubs where there's an actual job responsibility spelled out for each position so that you could say, these are the expectations and you're not meeting them. So people are like, they're like birds in a flock. They need folks to follow. And sometimes in your following, you let folks go too far, get too much power, too much prestige. The 3 Ps: power, prestige, and position. And the 4th P, of course, is the PU, double that S and put a Y. That also screws up people. But the 3 Ps, power, position, and prestige. You let people feed too heavily on that, and now you have to deal with somebody that's lost their minds. Let me know if you've ever put the word too much power in the description or in the comments. If you've ever had to deal with that, somebody that has too much power, put that in the write that down in the comments. you've ever had to deal with someone that had too much power. And write in the comments, abusive power, if you've ever had to deal with somebody who abused their power. And understand that that can only be handled at the table. You got to get to the table with your brothers and sisters and determine, hell no, we won't go. So I hope this brief video espouses my ideas on who should pay dues. Everybody should pay dues unless you are on leave of absence, you're a retiree, you are on suspension, maybe not, because you're getting ready to pay a fine. So, bro, you might not be able to afford no dues. But suspension and leave of absence and retirees and lifers and maybe founders, but all voters should pay dues. So we come back to the president. Does the president get a vote? In most traditional motorcycle clubs, president don't get no vote. The president only votes to remove a tie. So if you don't get no vote and you're picking up all the slack, should the president pay dues? Let you guys answer that one. Kind of cool, huh? How long should a member go without paying dues before being suspended? So these things are case by case basis. But a month should get you a warning and 2 months should get you a suspension, in my opinion. Unless you have good reason why you can't pay your damn dues. And most clubs I know, the dues are like cheap, like $100 a month or less. So I've seen it in one chapter where they were paying $1,000 a month. So they paid that, did just fine. Now, in my opinion, officers should only get 1 month. If you're an officer, you only get to be in arrears 1 month. And then we're going to suspend you from your officer duties. And then when you get to 2 months, you'll be suspended as a member. I expect a high degree of decorum and responsibility from my officers as the officers set the tone of the MC. Somebody said, yes, the president should pay dues. 100%. That's one of my presidents in my club. And that's President Black of the Louisiana chapter. And I hear you, brother. Y'all stay in my ass. I love it. So anyway, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Walking with me out here on the track. It's great to have you guys here with me. And I just want to thank you for that. I'm just checking out, trying to see if I can go through the comments. It's just almost impossible to do on this phone. Let's see. Yeah, it's hard on the phone. But anyway, 20 some minutes with you guys. I think that's cool. Check me out in the morning. Black Dragon Biker TV, our news channel will be back up. And I just really appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night. Please give me some support on the channel. We need you. $ Biker Prez, PREZ is the Cash App. And of course, the Super Chat also works here. And if you don't mind supporting my books, all my books can be found on blackdragonsgear.com. And our bike night's coming up. The Black Dragons Lair will be open Tuesday nights in Tucker, Georgia. And I'll be giving you more information about that. Next Tuesday will be our grand opening. So love to see you guys. If you're in town, stop by the Dragons Lair and check me out. I'm Black Dragon. That's my 2 cents. Love to hear your 2 cents in the comment section below. Thanks for tuning in and get skinny. Like out here on track in the 100 degrees at night. Good place to get skinny.